Hey guys, welcome to the FNS channel. I am Brian Nunez, and this is episode number 7, which I am so excited to talk about, is the power of feedback. First off, thank you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being hungry for success. Thank you so much for wanting to take it to the next level. And thank you so much for really being growth-minded people. Now, this is really important, guys. What we're going to be talking about today is feedback. I love it. I love feedback. I am so freaking excited to talk to you guys about this because this is what is going to move us forward. And so, first off, let me start by saying, I said I want to give you guys love for being growth mindset. You guys, this group, where I feel really open, where I feel really honest and want to be authentic is that you guys, anybody who's in this group, even right now, in this group at all, in our accountability groups, and comes to FNS, you're a different breed. Like, you're a different type of person. And this isn't one of those hype up, motivation, blow smoke up your butt type talks right now. You're a different person. You are somebody who really wants, who's looking for greatness. You're not trying to be good. You're not trying to be a B+. You are trying to be great. And I know that because I can recognize patterns. And that's the one thing we're going to talk about as far as with feedback is pattern recognition. And it's one thing that I spend a lot of time looking at with people, with trends, with how things are going to, what events are going to occur, is looking at pattern recognition. So the one pattern I can tell you is that by you guys being a part of this, it tells me that what type of person you are. You're a person who wants to be great. And so you want to show up. Now the next part is, okay, now what do I do? Now I'm here, I'm showing up. I want to get better. I want to win the game of life. I want to take it to the next level. Now what? So the first thing I want to talk about, because I'm really big on feedback. It's like my number one thing, my number one focus that I spend time with myself personally, environments, my mentors. Feedback to me is I will not move forward in life unless I am embracing feedback. So I'm going to go through some things today and talk to you about that. Good morning, Lily. Good morning, Tony. But the first thing when we're talking about feedback is what we're going to go through is how to use this to propel our growth, how to use this to take us to the next level. Now, I want to first start off by talking about the feedback that I've been getting about the groups, about this group, about our accountability group, about what's happening next. I've had some really good conversations lately, and I want to give them credit because I love they ask a lot of feedback about themselves, and they ask just a lot of insight, very inquisitive. I want to give some major shout out to Poom, who's been sending me text messages on asking questions, how to contribute more, all these things. What are the expectations? Debbie, I spent a lot of time with. We spent a lot of time going back and forth. Me, Raj, Angela Lee. I want to give you guys major credit for wanting feedback for yourselves, but also wanting feedback on how to contribute and play at a higher level. You see, the first question people have asked me that I've heard a lot in the last week is saying, Brian, what is it, like, what's the expectation of what we should be doing or not doing in this group? What is success of, like, what should we or shouldn't we be doing or sharing or saying? And I gotta be honest with you guys, when I first started this group, really what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a platform and a space where people felt comfortable. People felt like they could be open, honest, and real and share their stories, which you guys have embraced. So it's even, I wanted to take of obviously what my vision was for FNS as a whole, but within that, people, there may be a certain group who wants to dive even deeper, because they're at a different stage in their journey. I think so many people in this group are at a different stage in their journey. It's not a better or worse stage. You want to dive a little deeper. You want to grow at a different level. And so my first thing, my first intention of this group was, let me create a space where we can all speak the same language. We can bring people together who support each other, and we can get aligned, and I can help be a resource, and others can share, Poom, you just joined in. I just gave you some love, man. So make sure you go back and watch that. Others can share and contribute into the support of other people's journey. It's all about connection. Let's get connected with people on a weekly basis. And that's our mission, is to connect people to their passion, their purpose, potential, and other like-minded people. That is the mission of FNS. Why I created this was exactly that. So one of the things is that with this group, I got to be honest with you, it became so organic of what happened. People started sharing differently. So I had no intention when I first started this of homework assignments every week. And then it turned into homework. So it's one of those things that some things are the homework is relevant. Sometimes we don't have homework. I don't intend every talk to have homework. But I just really want it's been really good feedback for me to hear from people, because if it's one person's here, if I'm hearing from one person, I can assume 25 other people have the same issue. So that feedback is good for me to set you guys and our group up for success. Because how many times are we getting in a situation where we think that people should assume what to do? Think about that. Like when you're in work and you're managing people, like, how do they not know this? How do they not know this? Well, it's good feedback. Their confusion isn't a sign of they should get it or they shouldn't get it. The confusion is a sign of saying, I want to take responsibility and make sure that it's clear. So that to me was a very good feedback, the information on what to give the rest of the group. So what I want to share with you guys today is exactly that. I want to share this message of the only way we move forward in our life is when we embrace feedback. Feedback is the fuel to moving forward in our life. And that's really the most important part of this. So with this group, what I want to share with you guys is the feedback I want to give is just share. Just be open, be honest. There's no content that is bad content. There is no sharing that is bad. That's the greatest part about what we've created in this space is, hey, if you're having an issue, if you're having a struggle, if you're having a success, if you want to share your goals, like there's nothing like, well, were we supposed to do this? Were we not supposed to do this? Anything and everything that you feel that you need accountability, utilize this as a resource. That's exactly what this is. Right now, you guys all have an amazing resource. You have an accountability group of people who want to better themselves, who play at the next level. You guys are all speaking the same language. The same language is grow. There's one language you guys are all speaking is I want to grow, I want to get better. Now this is the resource we created, but your resources, I've said this before, are only as good as you are resourceful. Think about that. Your resources are only as good as you're resourceful. So if you're having an obstacle in your life, you need to align that to what resource you need to take yourself to the next level. It's like that game where you circle this needs to match with this, that needs to pair up. So use this resource to be resourceful in helping you out whatever you need. Share success, share a problem that you're having. I guarantee you somebody else is probably having the same problem, and then we create a solution. We're not making this a bitching platform or complain. Obviously, we know that's not what we're doing here. So I just want to set that tone, and I hope that makes it very clear. I hope that answers some questions that maybe you had but didn't get a chance to ask me, and I want to commend those who spoke up, reached out to me, and voiced your opinion and wanted that feedback. So when we talk about feedback, what we're looking at from a feedback standpoint, there's a couple different ways of feedback. There's a few different, there's probably a lot of different, but I narrowed it down to 4. You have environmental feedback, your surroundings, right? Where you live, the places you're at, the house you're in, the environment all around you externally, that is a form of feedback. That's telling you what's going on. Okay, it's raining outside. So if it's raining outside, does that mean I'm going to walk outside in board shorts and a bikini? No, that is a feedback that is telling you it is cold, it is rainy. That is information that needs to be processed put on a jacket and your rain boots. We can understand that. It's very logical to understand that form of feedback. We've got internal feedback. When an experience happens, how do we respond to it? Do we get really mad? Do we get really depressed? Do we get really, do we get really happy? What are the type of experiences that happen externally and that we process them internally? That's feedback. Man, how am I like thinking when certain things happen? How am I feeling when certain things happen? That's really important for us, is to make sure that we're being aware and processing the feedback that our body is telling us, our mind is telling us, our emotions are telling us. Because one of the things is we can control our emotions. People say you can't control your emotions. I don't agree with that. I believe you can control your emotions. Emotions are raw and real, but you can control them. You can get yourself from a negative state and an angry state, and you can control that to put yourself in a positive state. Now, certain things may happen and you may be angry, and angry is okay. It's a feeling. All feelings are good feelings. So don't judge it by saying angry is bad, this is bad. No, you may be angry because of something that you really believe in and strongly feel about. That's a good thing. It means you're really passionate. If you saw an old lady walking across the street and you see somebody run over and hit her in the head, and that makes you angry, that's good. That should piss you off that something like that happened. So that's good feedback in the sense of yourself as saying, it's feedback to your value system. It's feedback that tells you, damn, I don't like that. That pisses me off. I want to make a change. So when we see a situation like that, if we see a situation of things that we don't like and that angers us, that's good feedback. Again, that feedback is something that like with a lady being hit, little old lady being hit, that tells you the type of feedback, that's what your values, what you stand for. So we don't want to put a stamp on emotions, whether they're good or bad. They are what they are. Now, one of those things is that we look at as saying is with those emotions, we can control them. Like I said before, that's how we control them. If we're in an angry state that isn't propelling us forward, we can change that and get into a positive state. So that's a real big process with the internal feedback. Now, third type of internal feedback we talked about is peer-to-peer feedback. You know, with your friends, with your spouse, with people that are close to you in your life. What type of feedback do you have them? You know, it's like the old saying, right? A true friend is someone who tells you the truth, not someone who just tells you what you want to hear. Like those are the friends in your life that really care about your best interest. They're going to tell you the truth. Not the people in your life, the enablers in your life, who all the conversations you have are so superficial. It's so on the surface. It's not to the depth of, you know what, this is what I see that you do all the time, and I would suggest that you mix this, and this up. See, those people, think of the teachers in your life or the coaches in your life who are the most brutally honest with you. Not in a jerk way, like in a positive way. They were the most honest with you. They told you feedback that was real and constructive and honest, and you knew it was the truth in your heart. You knew it was the truth in your heart. You probably look back at them and those are the one coach, that's the one coach or the one teacher that you can say, you know what, that person really changed my life. Now at the time, you may have taken offense to it. You may have said, you know what, man, I'm really mad right now, but the reality is you weren't really mad at them. You're mad at the fact that yourself, that you knew the truth within you. So that feedback they gave you is not something that I don't like what you're telling me. It's like, no, you don't like the truth inside of you. What it takes is a true friend or a true person in your life to give you that type of feedback. And so that's another way we get feedback is through our peers, people who see us on a daily basis, people who see our patterns and our actions on a daily basis. And then the mentor feedback. I look at the fourth one as mentor feedback, which is so much of somebody like you who wants to grow, who wants to get better, who wants to take their life to the next level, is having coaches in their life, mentors in their life, their bosses in their life who really help take them to that next level and help grow them. And it's the feedback that they're giving them, because they're giving them feedback in the steps of saying, hey, listen, I know you're here and you want to get to here. These are all the things that you need to do. That type of feedback is critical. So really, if we're looking at the four types of feedback, our environmental feedback, right? The work environment, your life environment, the road conditions environment, the weather environment, that's all external environmental feedback. The internal feedback by what happens, what our body is telling us, internally processing. You know, our gut is always talking to us. Our brain is always talking to us, right? And we've got this chaos internally, so much of emotions and thoughts that are going through, and recognizing that feedback of what that means for our values and what we really want. Our peer-to-peer and our mentorship feedback. You know, because what we look at, guys, is we talk about this a lot. Life is pretty damn predictable. Life is pretty damn predictable. Like, if you have one kid, you're not leaving for work and coming home and there's, oh my God, there's 7 kids in my living room right now. I had no idea. What the heck? Who put 7? Like, you know where your job is. You know what you need to do. You know how to get to work. You know this is the car you have. You know this is the house you have. You know what needs to be fixed in your house. You know what does need to be fixed. You know the roads to take to get to XYZ to work. You know where there's grocery stores. You know where the people are at in your life that you need to reach out. Like, life is pretty predictable. Now, where we take it to the next level is when we use all of those feedback cues in front of us and we start to pay attention. We start to pay attention. And this is when things change. Because the most important part of our growth mindset is attention. Most important part. Every week I say the same thing. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Where you put your attention expands. So if we're putting our attention on something negative, it expands. If we're putting our attention on something positive, it expands. If we're putting our attention on understanding and being able to take the feedback that all of those things are giving us and using it in the right way to help us grow, things will change. I guarantee you, things will change. You do not have to be smarter than anybody else. You just have to be more attentive, and you just have to want to embrace feedback. And this is a really hard concept for a lot of people. It was a really, really, really hard concept for me for a long time. Yeah, I wanted to grow, but I didn't want to hear what you had to say. Yeah, I don't want to hear it. I'll figure it out. Or every time I would hear something, I would get defensive. Yeah, I already know that. Yeah, I already know that. Now, when somebody is giving me mentorship on certain things and I come at them with, yeah, I already know that, well, the reality is they're probably telling me something that I may know, but athlete ethos number 3, knowledge is potential, execution is power. Yeah, you may know it, but are you doing it? Because that's power. Just knowing it isn't good enough. Knowing doesn't produce the results on its own. Applying knowledge with execution produces results. I know a lot of people who know a lot of things, but they don't do what they know. And isn't that typically the problem when we don't grow? It's not what you don't know, it's that you don't do what you know. That is the number one reason why people don't grow, so they don't do what they know. So if we can understand this concept of feedback and saying, hey, listen, it's about recognizing a pattern. It's about recognizing a trend, because that's what feedback is. Like, think about it. Think about all the patterns and trends with our weather. Certain times of the seasons, there's a certain pattern and trends that's going to happen in winter. In the spring, certain pattern and trends that are going to happen. You know, it's not going to be raining today and it's going to be 95 degrees tomorrow. That's not going to happen. Yes, it may rain today and it may be a little warmer tomorrow, but it's not so all over the place that, oh my gosh, this feedback is so hard to maintain and control. I have no control. Everything is stressed out right now. The only reason why we have stress is when we don't pay attention to the feedback that is coming, is when we stop paying attention. Because that's what chaos is. And I wrote this down in my journal the other day, is that we're constantly overwhelmed with so many powerful sources. Chaos, so quote I wrote down the other day, chaos is uncontrolled power. Think about that. Chaos, uncontrolled power, right? There's a tornado, there's a twister. There's so much power, it's like you can't control it. It's so much power. We call stress, oh, there's stress in our life. No, stress is a good thing. Just like you got to put stress on your muscles to grow, you got to put stress on your life to grow. Stress is a good thing. Stop looking at stress as a bad thing. That's one thing we have to change. So if we can understand this, is that chaos is uncontrolled power, and power is controlled chaos. Chaos is uncontrolled power, and power is controlled chaos. There will always be chaos. There will always be stress. You think you have stress now in your life? In 2 years, it's going to be more stuff on your plate. You may have one kid, you're going to have 2 kids. You may have this role in your job and you want to get to the next level. If you think it's going to be easier at this level, there's no way that's the reality of the situation. It's about taking that chaos and being able to control it. That is power. Because when you have power, you have control. Right? When we don't have power, we feel like we're in a prison. We're locked up. We can't make a move because all the chaos in life is overwhelming us. Now, this is what I want to talk about, saying how do we control that? How do we control the chaos? First and foremost is you start to embrace feedback. First and foremost, you start being aware of the feedback that the environment is giving you. You start to be aware of the environment that's happening internally. Thoughts, emotions, feelings, being aware of it. Don't judge it. Don't judge whether being angry or being sad is good or bad. It is what it is. It's a feeling. Don't judge it. Again, you being mad or sad could represent something great. It could represent you being pissed off for greatness. That's what it could represent. So don't think of it as the emotions are good or bad. It's the feedback that we're getting from our peers. When was the last time you asked your friend, hey, you know what are some of the things the 5 things that, you see on your end that I could do better? Or your spouse. When was the last time you asked for feedback from your spouse? When was the last time you asked for feedback from a mentor? Hey, you're at this level. I want to get to this level. What are all the things that I need to do to move the needle? Because here's the thing. We can't control what we don't listen to. We can't control what we're not paying attention to. That's chaos. It's like everything else, right? You can't manage what you don't measure. Well, you need to measure where you're at right now. It's craziest thing is, one of the things in the story I want to share, to give an analogy. I love analogies. But it's the craziest thing when people choose to be ignorant. And there's plenty of times in my life where I've chosen to be ignorant because I actually really wasn't ready to make the change. I'm going to be honest. There's times in my life that I chose to be ignorant because I wasn't ready to change. That was the reality of the situation. I wasn't ready to go all in. I wasn't ready to make the sacrifices. I wasn't ready to really push myself to the limit. And I was aware of that, and that's okay. So I don't even want to know, because if I know, I'm going to stress myself out. I don't even want to have that responsibility, so I'm okay. Like, then ignorance is bliss. But a lot of times when we choose it, we want to grow. If we want to lose weight, for example, and people choose not to weigh themselves, well, that's choosing to be ignorant. That's choosing to be ignorant. And I'll tell you what, that sure as hell ain't going to be bliss. Because you're going to know how you feel. You're going to look at yourself in the mirror, and you're going to know the cost of that. And this will probably resonate with a lot of people, that feeling like you're not moving the needle, feeling like you're not losing weight, feeling like you're not seeing changes, sure as hell ain't bliss. It's depressing. So how do we make a move? Well, first, get aware. And first thing you have to ask yourself is, are you ready to be aware? Are you ready for feedback? Because if you're ready for feedback, then you're ready to grow. And if you're not ready to grow, then you're not ready to have the feedback. When I sit down and I meet people and their goals, I never write someone's goals. I never tell them what I think that their goals should be or what I think their potential is. Because that, to me, based on what their goals are, based on what they want, determines the amount of feedback I give them. You know, if somebody wants to make $100 a week, then that determines the feedback that I'm going to give them. I may think, dude, you can make $1,000 a week. You can make $5,000 a week. That determines the feedback that I can give them. But I'm not going to give someone feedback when they're really happy and content making $100 a week and pushing that on them, because that's what makes them happy. That's what makes them happy. So from that standpoint, it's important that you got to really buy in, saying, are you ready to grow? And if you're ready to grow, you want the feedback. I believe 100% that if you're listening to this video, if you are sitting at home and taking the time to listen to what I'm saying and really sinking in, you want to freaking grow. You want to grow. If you've invested the time right now to still even listen to this, like if you're engaged right now to listen to this, you want to grow. I know. I don't know you. I may know an athlete in here in our group. Somebody may be watching that's not part of our community, or I don't even know you, but I know one thing. If you're watching this, you're hungry for growth. And I'm telling you, the key to make that happen is embracing feedback, is embracing the feedback from all of those things. You know, because what we really got to pause and think about is saying, if you're afraid of feedback, again, you're afraid to grow. And people say, who's afraid to grow? Well, a lot of people are afraid to grow. I get afraid to grow at certain points in different stages that I'm at. There's two types of people when they're afraid of growth, because they're afraid of failing. That's one. They're afraid of failing. They're afraid of, oh my God, what if I try? What if I try and I fail? Then I'm going to feel like a failure. I'm going to feel my self-confidence is going to be low. It's not going to be something that I'm going to be able to live with. That's one type. People are afraid of failure. And then you ever hear the saying when people say they're afraid of success? Now, for a long time, I didn't get what that meant. I would always think to myself, who the hell would be afraid of success? I was afraid of success. I was afraid of success for actually a long time. And I'll tell you how I was afraid of success. I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to handle it. I was afraid that if I got to a certain point, if I reached a level of success, I wouldn't know how to handle it, and I wouldn't know what to do. So I stopped challenging myself. I stopped risking. I stopped playing at the next level, because I wasn't afraid of failing. I was afraid of success and me not being able to handle it. And man, I didn't want to ever be that person who like wins the lotto and goes bankrupt, who had major success and loses it all. I was so afraid of having that success and not being able to control it. That was a major breakthrough that I had. And I'm not saying years ago, I'm saying recently. That's a major breakthrough that I've had, saying, no, got to take risks, got to ask for feedback, got to ask the right questions. Because there's a very powerful quote that I learned from a mentor, Tony Robbins. The quality of your questions determine the quality of your life. The answers are within us. The answers are within us. The quality of your questions determine the quality of your life. So many times we're looking for the right answer. Well, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. You already know what to do. It's inside you. Just ask the right question. And that's what feedback is all about. Are you taking all the information and processing it effectively? Are you taking all the signs that the universe is trying to give you, saying, I'm putting it right in front of your face. Look at it. Look at it. Make a change. It's right here. We're choosing to not see it. You want to make a change on weight loss. Step on a scale. See where you're at. Analogy I can give you is navigation. Think of it like this. If you're in a car and I dropped you off in the middle of nowhere, boom, car, middle of nowhere. You don't even know where you're at. And I said, okay, I need you to get to Seattle, Washington. I need you to get to Seattle, Washington. You got a car. Here's your car. And this is how this thing works. Gas, you know how this thing works. You know how to drive a car. And so you got to get to Seattle, Washington. Now, here's the deal. You got to get to Seattle, Washington in 10 days. In 10 days. But here's the criteria. You can't use a navigation and you can't ask anybody for help. You can't use a navigation, you can't ask anybody for help. You got to get to Seattle, Washington in 10 days. How confident do you feel you can get to Seattle, Washington in 10 days? Probably very little, right? I don't even know where I'm at. So how can I make a move and I can't have a navigation system? Oh, that's crazy, right? I can't ask for help. Okay, now if I make another rule, so I'll say, you can check your navigation system every 5 hours, okay? And you can ask for help along the way every 5 hours. You feel a little bit more confident? You probably feel a little bit more confident if you had those resources. Okay, I have a navigation. However, 5 hours, holy crap, you could go 5 hours in the wrong direction. Then you're actually 10 hours behind because you got to backtrack 5 hours to make up, then to go in the other direction 5 hours. So it's like 10 hours. So if I said, okay, I'll give you a navigation that you can check every 30 minutes and you can ask for help every 30 minutes. How confident do you feel now? If you're watching this, you're probably saying, maybe shaking your head and saying, I feel a hell of a lot more confident. And the reason is because now you're able to utilize the right resources to be resourceful, because that is all feedback. Navigation, Waze, is feedback. It tells you what's on the road. It tells you what obstacles and conditions are straight ahead. Y'all have Waze, traffic jam, 57 minutes. When was the last time you were driving and Waze said, hey, traffic up ahead, screw it, turn around, what's the point of even going anymore, game over? If that was the case, you'd be like, dude, what the hell kind of navigation system is this? This thing must be broken. I got places to go, I got things to do, I got destinations to get to. Exactly, that's your life. That's your life. You got places to go, you got goals to accomplish, and you got greatness to achieve. Start tapping into the navigation system, because that is just feedback. Navigation just tells you what's out there and how to make the next move. Now, if you're only looking at your navigation system every 5 hours and tapping into that feedback system every 5 hours, good luck. It's going to take you so long to grow. If you're never doing it, if you're choosing to be ignorant, I don't want to use my navigation system. I'll figure it out. I don't want to step on a scale to see what my weight is, to see how much I've lost. Like, think about that. That's the exact being in a position in a car. Well, then how the hell are you going to know where to go? How are you going to know how far away you are from your destination? You may be one town over from Seattle, Washington, and you may be in Florida. But if you're not interested in figuring out what you don't know, you're never going to grow. And that's what feedback is all about. See, what we know in life is like this much. There's a big pie chart, it's like this much. Now, what you know that you don't know in life is like this much. You know that you don't know how to build a house, do open heart surgery. There's going to be a multiple, change the engine of a car and assemble it back together. There's more things that you don't know. And then this giant piece of the pie right here is what you don't even know. And that's why feedback is important. There are certain things that are probably happening in your life that you're doing. There's so many things that I do all the time that I want to know that I'm even doing, that I don't even know that I'm doing it. Like, oh my God, I'm like so oblivious to me even doing this. I had no idea that I spoke this certain way. I had no idea that I came across this way. I had no idea that I was this impatient, or whatever the case is. That feedback from others will help guide me to grow. So what I want to share with you guys for the thought process as we go into this week is, what do you need to tap into? Are you even embracing feedback? Do you get defensive when someone gives you real feedback? Like, not when someone attacks you and says, and how many times people come to you and it says, oh my God, you're terrible. You're such a stupid person. Like, you're so dumb. You're like, that probably doesn't happen too much in your life. But think about the times that when people try to help you out. I'll tell you right now, the quickest way to find out if you're ready to move forward in your life is how well you respond to feedback. If somebody gives you feedback and you get defensive, you're not ready to grow. You're not ready to grow. That's really important to understand. Because the day you're ready to grow is the day you're ready to embrace feedback. The day you're ready to move forward in your life is the day that you're ready and willing to be open and honest with other people giving you feedback and not getting defensive. It's easy to put so many inspiring Facebook, Instagram, cliche posts up than it is to live it. And feedback is the number one mover to going forward. Just like it is in your car, just like it is with Waze, you got to freaking know exactly what's in front of you. You got to be able to process that feedback to make the next move. Because the road to success is not like this. The road to any goal is not like this. Oh, it's going to be perfect. I have goals. I know the things I need to work on. Oh, perfect. This is the destination? No problem. Wrong. The road to success looks like this. Back, side, side, all over the place, around, jump down on the ground, jump back up. That's the road to success. Nothing you ever wanted in life was easy. If it was, everybody would take that path. Oh, I just got to make a goal and it'll come true? No, that's called a wish. It's called a wish in a well. It's called daydreaming. Vision and understanding that these things are going to happen. But feedback is now a practical application you need to use and utilize to take it to the next level. Because goals are one thing. That's great. You got to have a game plan. You got to have a destination. Just like in your car. Where are you going? Oh, I'm just going to drive around today. Yeah, but where are you going? If I'm driving, where are you headed off to? And if somebody said, I don't know, I'm just in the car today, I'm just going to drive around. And you'd be like, what do you mean you're just going to drive around? Yeah, I'm just going to drive. Like, I don't even know. I'm just going to waste a lot of energy that I put in my car and fuel, and I'm just going to drive around all day, and who knows where I end up. You'd be like, what the hell is this person talking about? When's the last time you got in your car and just drove around aimlessly? You got a destination to get to. Either you got to go to work, whether you're driving to Disneyland, whether you're driving across the country. You got a destination. Learn by the successful things that you're doing. Because the success you have of just getting to work every single day is going to be the success that you have changing your life and growing forward and moving every single day. So here's what I want to ask you guys, and I want you to think about. I want you to really ponder this. First thing is, what are you trying to figure out on your own that you don't have the answer to? What are you trying to figure out that you don't even know that you don't even know? Like, you don't even know how to even get this answer. You don't even know where you even start to make a move. That's one thing. One thing you would do is, in that one, find somebody who's doing it extremely well. Learn from them. Have them as your model. See everything that they're doing, because if that's something that's like, man, I like the way this person does certain things, that's what I want to follow. That's what I want to embody. So what are you trying to figure out on your own right now? I'll figure it out. And if you say this to yourself, I'll figure it out on my own. Why? Why would you do that? You're going to waste so many months, so many years trying to figure it out on your own when you can utilize resources and people who have already done it. And they can help you have accountability, and they can save you so much time, so much energy, so much money. I love when new businesses start. I love when new entrepreneurs start. I want to meet with them. I want to share with them, saying, I will literally save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Do not make this mistakes, the ones that I had in 5 years. And that's what mentorship is all about. The mentors are trying to save you time and money and energy to not make the same mistakes that they made. Do not let your pride get in the way of feedback. Do not let your pride and your ego get in the way of feedback, because that will be your biggest obstacle of growth, is your ego and your pride. The second thing, again, who can you reach out to? Immediately. This is what I want to get better at. Who can I reach out to? Who's doing this at the highest level? Who's doing it amazing? If I want to change my eating habits, I'm not going to reach out to somebody who doesn't have control of their eating habits. If I want to change the way I move and work out, I'm not going to reach out to somebody who's not moving or working out. If I want to make $10 million, I'm not going to ask somebody who makes $1,000. How did you do? I'm going to go to directly the source of the person who's doing it. And I'm going to get feedback on what I need to do, what I need to change, what are the things I'm doing well, what are the things I'm not doing well to move forward. I want you to ask yourself, this is a good question to ponder. How many times this week, this month, this year, you have proactively asked for feedback from your spouse, from your friends, or from your boss or mentor? Not, that's a scheduled evaluation review, and this happens every quarter, this happens once a year. How often have you proactively, in this week, this month, this year, proactively asked for feedback from people in your life that can see patterns of what you do and don't do every single day? Not feedback from somebody you've never met before. The people who you see on a constant basis, how often have you asked for feedback? because that will determine the urgency of how bad you really want to grow by that answer. So it's a light bulb moment. What you didn't know, you didn't know. Damn, I really didn't know that. I didn't even ask people for help. I got to start asking more people for help. That's a light bulb moment for me. I haven't asked anybody for help this week. I haven't asked for anybody help this month. I haven't asked my boss or mentor to sit down with me on a random Wednesday, call them out of my office and say, Miss, sir, what can I do to get better? What can I do to grow? What are the things I'm doing well? What are the things I'm not doing well? If the answer is 0, you don't really want to grow. It sounds good, but you don't really want to grow. I've been in that position before when I didn't ask anybody for help or feedback. I didn't really want to grow. That's the reality, because I'm responsible for my growth. But this is the tool now you're going to use. I'm not just going to talk about it. I could say that all day long. You're responsible for your growth. Okay, now what? Now start taking feedback. Start asking for it proactively. A mentor wants to meet with you once a quarter. You want to meet with them once a week. And I guarantee you that mentor's not going to be like, hey, listen, man, like you want too much growth. You want too much help. I am obsessed. I love when people come in and ask questions. How can I grow? How can I get better? How can I do things better? I love it. I'll never be too busy for somebody who wants to grow, because the mentors that I have in my life are never too busy for when I want to grow and ask them questions. And that's all about paying it forward. The greatest mentors that I had in my life are never, listen, I'm too busy right now to help you grow, because they know that we're all in this together. So one last question is, what resources do you need to utilize? What are the resources? Is it your mentor? Is it your boss? Is it your spouse? Is it a form of technology? Is it the scale? The scale is a resource because it gives you valuable information. Is it the InBody? Is it a $10,000 state-of-the-art body scanner that we have access to that not a lot of places do in the entire world have access to these things? Is it a coach? I need to reach out to a coach more. I need to get the feedback there. I'm not being resourceful to checking in with my coach. I'm not being resourceful enough to using this tool that is going to allow me to grow, and it's going to allow me to give me a reference point of where I'm at to make the next move. So that's the last question I want you to think about. What resources do you need to tap into that are going to allow you to grow and take it to the next level? Because what we're trying to do, guys, is we're trying to break patterns. Having the feedback breaks bad patterns. And when you are looking for the feedback of pattern recognition, your life will change. You fuel positive patterns in your life. But there's a lot of patterns that you're doing that aren't fueling your growth. Those are the things you need to break. But again, are you even aware that you're doing them? Are you justifying them? Are you making an excuse for them? Well, when you really want to find out, somebody will tell you. You will get the right feedback, but only when you're ready and open and honest for that feedback. Because when you are ready to grow, when you're ready to move forward, is like I said, when you're ready to grow and you're ready to move forward is when you're ready to embrace feedback. This is such a powerful thing we have to understand, guys. What I'm sharing is something practical. It's practical. It is not a saying, it is not a quote. Embrace this. I guarantee you, life will change dramatically. We are trying to have one thing. We're trying to have power. We're trying to have power of chaos, because power is freedom. Think, when you feel free, you have power. I feel empowered. I feel strong. I have power over the thoughts. I have power over my emotions. I have power over my life. That's what we're talking about. That's the most important thing. To be able to control all the chaos that's going to happen inside here and outside there. To give you the keys to power of controlling your life. Chaos. Are you stressed out? Things are crazy. Life is busy. Life is stressful. Life is chaotic. You have zero power. You are in zero control because you're choosing to not be. Because you are choosing to not listen to the feedback that's coming at you. Plain and simple. But you're a leader, and now things change. You want to get better. You're hungry for growth. You want to take your life to the next level. I am so proud and honored and humbled that you're taking the time to listen to this, because if you've listened to this whole thing, somebody may have tapped out halfway through. If you listen to this whole thing, you really want it. Believe it and move forward. As always, give more, do more, be more, and let's create the best version of our life. Let's rock it, guys.